Hello students, in this lesson we're going to explore the Windows 11 environment. We will also make use of the File Explorer in order to organize and create our folders and files.
An operating system is a unique and intricate type of computer program that takes the responsibility of managing other programs on a computing device. A familiar example is Windows 11, a brainchild of Microsoft Corporation, designed to function seamlessly with computers and mobile computing devices. Now, let's delve deeper into the major tasks of an operating system. First and foremost, it manages the computer's hardware. This means it controls and coordinates the use of hardware among different application programs. Think of it as a conductor of an orchestra, ensuring each instrument plays at the right time and in harmony with the others. Secondly, it manages the application software installed on the computer. The operating system is the middleman between hardware and the application software, making sure they work together smoothly. Lastly, it manages the data generated and stored on your computer. It organizes and tracks where files are located to ensure they can be retrieved and used when needed, acting as the librarian of your digital library. Windows 11, like its predecessors, boasts a desktop that uses a graphical user interface, or GUI for short. This interface uses graphics as images of file folders or wastebasket, making the user experience more intuitive and user-friendly. GUI generally includes a pointer, which is a symbol that displays on the screen in response to moving the mouse. Then there is a pointing device, which is a mouse or touchpad that controls the pointer. Furthermore, there are icons, which are small images that represent commands, files, applications, and other windows. Finally, there is a desktop, which is a simulated workspace where icons for programs, files, folders, and various types of documents can be arranged. Remember, without an operating system, a computer is like a car without a driver.
So, let's have a look. When you switch on your computer that is being managed by an operating system called Windows 11, this is the kind of user interface that you will see. The look and feel of it is that wavery blue icon or picture or image. So the icons that I just explained are these things that are then on your desktop. So this whole space that you see on the screen now is referred to as a desktop. So on the desktop, I have the applications that I make use of, that I have installed, downloaded, and saved on this specific computer. I have a folder as an icon named 2023. There is an app called Visual Studio Code. I also have that browser, the Google Chrome. Okay, and then one of the icons there is called a recycle bin. What a recycle bin does, it works as a dustbin of anything that you delete on the computer. So you are able to clean that dustbin. Even if you have deleted something by mistake, you can still recover it from that recycle bin. And then the area here at the bottom is referred to as a taskbar. The taskbar has a start button, which is that square that has 4 squares in it. So that is a Windows logo image. Okay, so every time you see the 4 squares, just remember that is a logo for Windows. We call it a start button. Right next to it, we have a search box. So these things that you see after the search box are the same things that are the icons on the desktop. So they are pinned on the taskbar for easy access. We also have at the end then some tools under Windows logo, your time, calendar, and then you can also change the settings of the language. You'll see that currently I am on English South African. All right. So how do we go about pinning a program or an application on a taskbar there? So let's say I want to make use of a calculator, and this is an app that I make use of quite often. All right. But most of the times I do not remember where I saved it. So remember, on the taskbar we have what we call a search box. So this search box then allows us to search for anything that we have in this computer. I need a calculator. I don't remember where it is. I can click on the search box and then type in CA. You will notice that immediately, as soon as I have CA, it's picking up all the apps that starts with letters CA. There's Camtasia and calculator. So since it's actually popped it up, there is no need for me to continue typing. I can just click on what I want there, which is a calculator. So there I have it open. Okay. So every app will have these three icons on top there. So this thing that just popped up, the calculator, we also refer to it as a dialog box. Okay, so the dialog boxes all have these three icons on the top right hand corner. This one is to minimize. When you click on it, your calculator will still be open. It's still activated, but it's not open for you to see, but it is there on the taskbar. I can click on the calculator and then now it's visible to the eye. This is the restore button, which makes the calculator either fill the screen or I can restore it to a smaller size. The last one, the X there, is for close. If I click on it, then the calculator closes. Notice that it's no longer on the taskbar. When I had minimized it, it was just not visible to the eye, but it was still on the taskbar. But then what if I make use of this calculator often and I would love to have an easy access to it instead of searching for it every time I want to make use of it? That is when we can make use of the functionality of either to create a shortcut and make it an icon on a desktop like we have with the Blackboard then, or I am going to pin it on the taskbar there like I have these icons there. Okay, so the mouse or the touchpad, which is the pointing device, has two buttons. There is a button on the left hand side and there is also a button on the right hand side. When you click a button on the left hand side, it's going, you only click once. It requires a single click. And then or you can also do a double click. Okay, so when you single click, you're just selecting something. Let's say I want to select the BRS Live icon there on the desktop. All I need is just to click once, then it's selected. Then I can delete it, move it, copy, or whatever I want to do to it. But if I click twice, we call that a double click. If you double click a left key of the mouse, then it performs an action. Let's say I want to open the Google Chrome. So that is performing a function of opening the app. So that means I have to double click on it, and there I have the dialog box of the Google Chrome program. All right. Okay. So the right button, which can be clicked, only single clicked. Okay. Remember, a left button has a single as well as a double click. With the right button, it only has a single click. So a right button then, it's an object typically that displays a shortcut shortcut menu of options, okay? So it's a shortcut of what you can do to the icon that you have clicked on, okay? So what will happen when I do a right click on the folder named 2023 there, then I get a short menu of options. So I can cut, I can copy, I can rename or delete this thing. I can pin it to the start, I can compress it, copy the path. So in order to pin this calculator on our taskbar then, I need the right click functionality. So on my mouse or the touchpad, a pointing device in general, I am going to click, I'm going to go on that calculator on the taskbar, then right click on it. My options are choose, make it standards or scientific, or I can pin it to the taskbar. So I will say pin to taskbar. So now when I close it, it's still part of the taskbar for easy access, okay? So I do not need to go and search for it next time because it's already pinned on the taskbar. If I want to make use of it next time, I can just click on it, and that's how easy it is to get access to it sometimes. It is bad practice though to cluster your taskbar with a whole lot of icons, especially those that you're not making use of. So how do I then decluster the taskbar? I will have to go and unpin anything that I no longer want from the taskbar. The same way that I just pinned the computer, the calculator. So I need a right click functionality. I go on the calculator, right click, and then now I'm going to click on the option that says unpin from taskbar. And then now the calculator is no longer part of the taskbar, okay? So now we're going to do some file management. Under file management, we're going to make use of a file explorer. All right, so the file explorer is that yellow folder on your taskbar. So for you guys, by default, you will already find it pinned for you on your desktops. So it's called a file explorer. If I click on it, then I'm going to get that dialog box, okay? Remember, we can restore it to a smaller size. We can minimize it, we can close it, or we can leave it filling the screen like that. All right, so in the File Explorer, we have files and folders, okay? So a file is a collection of information stored on computer under a single name. All right, so let's say I want to type the notes of computer literacy and save them on a computer. So what I can do is open up an app called Microsoft Word. Okay, I don't see it pinned. I can go search for it. Okay, there I have my Word opened. So then I can start typing my files. So wherever I'm going to go save this file on a computer, just remember now it contains specific information. It's information about a certain subject. So we refer to this as a file. Whereas a folder is a container. A folder contains both files and other folders. And then when a folder is saved inside another folder, then we refer to it as a subfolder. So Windows 11 organizes and keeps track of electronic files by letting you create and label folders in which you place your files. So I have a folder here named 2023. If I left click on it, then inside this I have other folders. The subfolders are named cover page, the CSI L1501, there's a P1 folder. I also have files. There's a Dell keyboard picture, that is a file. And then there's also a PPT instruction file. Let's open one of the folders. Inside the revision folder there, okay, there's a video called revision. So this is a single file. It's a .mp4. That's how I knew that it's a video. And then it's typed inside a folder named revision, and this folder is a folder within a folder called 2023, so that means it's a subfolder. All right. We also have these places on your file explorer, so you can save on the desktop. So the desktop is that area. So if I choose to save on the desktop, there's going to be one of the icons here on the desktop. Okay, we have downloads. That's everything that you download in this computer. It will automatically put itself in the downloads. If you take a screenshot or you take a picture, then they will be saved on the location called pictures. We have this PC. This PC is a root directory. This is where the files and folders that are by default on Windows 11 will be stored there, the drivers, okay? And all the files and the folders that we can choose to also save them. So when we click on this PC, the root directory, it has two drivers. There's a driver called local disk. It's a C drive, okay? It's an OS disk. We also have a drive called ThoSpace, which is the T drive. So there's a letter T in the brackets then. The drive that we're going to make use of in this subject is the T drive. You will always find your files and folders that you require for assessments in the T drive. You will always be required to save your work in the T drive, okay? So inside the T drive, we will have that folder called students files. This is where I will save all the work that you will need for assessments. And remember, you will either save outside the student files or inside. We already have a folder named test4, and the student files is where I will keep all the files that you will need to make use of in the assessments. All right, so this is then the navigation area. The area on the left-hand side is called a navigation area because it allows me to navigate from one place to the next within this computer. On top, this area on top, we refer to it as a ribbon, which normally has different tabs. All right, and then we also have the address bar. The address bar shows us exactly where we are currently in the computer. You will see that I see this PC. That means I came into that file explorer, I opened this PC. After opening this PC, I then opened the local C or the local disk. So if you ever get a question that tells you to do something at a specific location on a computer, just make sure that you check the address bar just to make sure that you are at the correct location. All right. We also have the search box also within the Windows Explorer. This will still help you to search for whatever you are looking for. But let's say you know that you saved some file named Masabata in your T drive, but you don't remember whether it's in student files or test4. And in there are a whole lot of files. You don't want to scroll up and down in order to search for it. Then you can search for it there and it will pull it out for you. All right, okay. So we've spoken about the drives. What we also have, which we discussed in the previous lesson, is a removable storage device. That would be your secondary storage, which is not volatile. It can be a USB flash drive, so that can be used to store or transfer files and folders from one place to another. So if I was to insert the USB on my computer now, it's going to be part of these things that are under this PC. It will just automatically show itself there. So remember, since it's secondary storage, I can actually pull it out. So when I pull it out, then it will disappear under this PC. So it's also a drive, but a removable one, which we also refer to it as secondary storage. We also have what we call cloud storage. Cloud storage is a storage space on the internet. It's not on the physical computer like the ones that we just explored now. It's on the internet, and it also displays as a drive on your computer. So when you create a Microsoft account, you will receive a free cloud storage called OneDrive, and then OneDrive can be accessed from File Explorer. There it is there. So if I was to decide to save this test4 folder on OneDrive rather than the T drive, that means I will be able to access it on any device, on any computer, anywhere on the world, so long as I have access to the internet. Whatever I've saved on OneDrive, whether I saved it in the lab or at a workplace, if I get home and I open my drive, I sign in with my username as well as the password, I will have access to it. All right. So that means it also works as a secondary storage, because you can still access your files even long after the computer where you saved them is being switched off. So it's quite advisable to save your things on cloud storage, especially if you care about not losing your files and folders or your work in general. All right, so the File Explorer window displays with the quick access area selected by default. File Explorer displays the contents of the current location, and it contains helpful paths so you can navigate to the location of your files or folders. Okay, that is in a nutshell. All right. So let's start our file management. Okay, we're going to start now creating folders and files. Okay, the file management includes organizing, copying, naming, renaming, moving, and deleting files and folders that you have stored in various locations. Great. So let's start by saving a file. So remember, I opened a Microsoft Word document earlier, and I said I would love to contain notes of maybe my chapter 1 of computing essentials. So I will start by typing a whole lot of things there. But now, obviously, if you have notes, you want to access them later. So I'm going to save this file on a location in the T drive. So this is also a dialog box, okay? Can restore it. So remember I said every app will be in a form of a dialog box, because you're going to have this box pop out when you open it. The dialog box consists of different tabs. That of Word has a File tab, there's a Home tab, there's an Insert tab, Drawer tab, so on to end with the Help tab. What the tab I need now in order to save this file on one of the places in this computer is called the File tab. File tab will take me to what we call a File Backstage view. Under the File Backstage view, there's Home, New, Open. There's Info, Save. What I want is Save As. I am choosing Save As because I want to give this file a certain name. So we're going to say Save As, and then you can either save on your cloud, you can save on this PC, but I want to browse, okay, so that it gives me the File Explorer. Opens File Explorer, and then I will decide that on the navigation bar that I'm going to save on the T drive, and then on the T drive I will save under student files. I need to perform an action and open student files. I'm currently on this PC T drive. So I will now double left click to open student files. Now I'm on this PC T drive student files. I've just moved from one location to the next. Okay. So currently it wants to save it as chapter 1, but I'm going to give it a different name. All right. So let's name it Introduction to Computer Usage. Okay. So notice that there at the end there's a .docx. We refer to that as a file extension. Okay. When you save a file, do not type in that extension, because the Windows 11 operating system is programmed to type it itself. It does recognize what you are saving, and it will type the .docx for you. But on your questions, on the assessment or notes on the textbooks, you will always see a file with a certain extension. So that is kind of telling you what kind of a file that is. So you can immediately know whether it's a Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, if it's a picture or a video based on the extension there. Okay. So when I type introduction to computer usage, I will not type in the .docx. Okay. Introduction to computer usage. Okay. Okay. And then I can just name it correctly. So when you have to name something, please be case sensitive according to the words you see. So what do I mean by that? If you are told to type in introduction to computer usage with all the words there starting with a capital letter, you will see that the introduction starts with capital letter I, computer starts with capital letter C, and usage starts with capital letter U, and all other letters are small. So that's how you will have to type it exactly as you see it. You can now go and use a small letter there. Otherwise, if this was an assessment, then you will get it wrong, because the assessment tool that we make use of is case sensitive. So if this is what you saw, that's what you type. Remember, I am not going to type the file extension, even though it's part of what was written, that because maybe an assessment question might say save this file as introduction to computer usage .docx. So that's where you will stop. You do not type in the file extension, because Windows 11 is going to do that for us. So when you're done with this, you will then say save. All right, so you will see on top there now, the name of this file has changed to introduction to computer usage. And then it's saved on this PC. I'm going to close it. Let's go and try to locate it. We saved it on this PC T drive, student files. And there it is. Notice that I did not type in the file extension .docx, but it typed it for us. So had I typed it in, there was going to be 2.docx there. So then the assessment tool that we make use of in this subject then will mark that incorrectly. Just be mindful of that. So now that we've learned how to save a file, how do we go about renaming it? So what if then you are required to change the name of a certain file inside that student files folder? So let's say that you are instructed to change the file, the name of that animal housing file to Animal Rescue Foundation. All right, how do we go about that? I can do this by either making use of the ribbon. I can do it or by right-clicking. Okay, remember, a right-click gives us a short menu of options. Let's start with a right-click. I can go to the animal housing file, right-click on it, and one of the options there is to rename. So we have icons on top there. If you put your mouse cursor just a little bit longer, you will see that is to rename. The icon that has A is to rename. Okay, if I click on it, then it highlights what I can rename, which is the animal housing. Okay, so I'm going to remove the housing and say Animal Rescue Foundation. So you can also make use of this functionality if you've made a mistake when you are creating a file and you later realize. You can always go back to it and just give it a different name or fix your spelling. All right, that's how easy it is to rename. So let's also rename one more file by making use of a ribbon. I am going to rename the Grooves budget file and just name it monthly budget. Okay, so I will select it by clicking once on the left click, And then instead of making use of a right click now, I can also make use of the ribbon. On the ribbon, there is the rename. It's on top of the file explorer there, okay? The icon that has the letter A in. All right, and then we can call this maybe monthly budget. All right, so that is also renamed. Great. So we have saved a file, we have renamed a file. So now we're going to create a folder, okay? This folder, we are now working in a folder called student files, okay? We can also create our own folder. There's a folder called test form. We can do this again either via a ribbon or a right click. Let's start with the ribbon option. I want a new folder. So on the ribbon, the very first icon that has a circle with a plus in and the word new on the right hand side, that's where we're going to create a new folder. I will say new, and then I want to create folder. Let's name this folder chapter 1. Okay, so there we have it. That's how easy it was to create a folder. We can do this also on a right click. Okay, I wanted this to be chapter 1. I'm just going to go and rename it space 1. That space also matters. So if in an assessment question there was no space, you also omit the space. If there's a space, you also insert the space, because that space is a character that can be read by a computer. So when a computer reads the one without space, it calls it chapter 1. When it reads the one with space, it says chapter space 1. So to the computer, that's two different words, whereas to a human eye, it's the same thing. The other one just has a space, the other one does not have a space. But if you were to say it, we just say chapter 1, whereas with the computer, it says chapter 1 and chapter space 1. Be mindful of that space, especially with the upcoming assessments, okay? Case sensitivity also. So let's create another folder named chapter 2 with the right click option. I want it to be on this space here. So I'm going to right click on the mouse, and there is the option of new, the same one that we had on the ribbon. I want to create a new folder, and this one we will name it chapter 2. Great. So we've renamed, copied, and created file and a folder at this stage. So what we're now going to do is to copy one file from one location to the next. So now what we want to do is on the T drive, on the student files folder, we want to copy that monthly budget Excel file to the chapter 2 folder that we created. Okay, we will go to our file explorer on the T drive, on the student files. Now I am looking for monthly budget. This is to now be copied. We can use such words as create a duplicate or copy. So duplicate and copy mean the same thing. So that means you need to create a twin of this file. There has to be another file that's exactly like this, just at a different location. You cannot have two files with the same name on one location, okay? So we can either make use of the ribbon or a right click. Okay, right click this time around. There is an option to copy there. It has two boxes, one at the back and one at the front. When you put your mouse cursor on it, you will see that it's to copy. You say copy, and then now we can go back to T drive on chapter 2. When I get there, I'm going to right click again, and this is for paste. Okay, and then we say paste. So we have monthly budget, but remember this was copied. It's a duplicate. It should still exist also on your student files. There I have monthly budget. So the difference now to the next function that we're going to do, which is move. So now when you get an instruction to move, that means it's not duplicated. It rather moves completely from one location to the other. So it cannot be in two locations. We're going to move the file called ayegotet file from these student files, we will move it to chapter 2 as well. Okay, I'm going to make use of the ribbon this time. On the ribbon, the move function is the cut function. So we have copy and paste, which is a duplicate. We have cut and paste, which is a move. Okay, so now I am going to click on the scissor there, which is cut. And then I will go and save this also on chapter 2, and I will also make use of the ribbon to paste it. If I now go back to the T drive student files, because I moved this file instead of copying it, it's no longer on the student files. With monthly budget, it's both on student files and where I copied it to. With a movement, then the IECOTET file is no longer student files because I moved it. It wasn't a duplicate. Okay, be mindful of that difference. All right, how do we go about deleting files and folders? Very easy. So let's say I do not want that zipped folder demo there. So what I'm going to do is delete it from that location. I can do this on the ribbon there. No, not that one, the dustbin. Okay, the dustbin will then delete. Okay, then what if I don't want hot and cold file? I can also do it on right click and click on the dustbin, or you can just select it and press delete on your keyboard. Okay, but what if I did that by mistake? But then I remember, one of the icons on the desktop is a recycle bin. So that recycle bin contains everything that you have deleted. You can open it and then you will see the two things that I just deleted. If I maybe deleted them by mistake, I can just go, select them, right click, and then restore them to the same place where I deleted them from. You'll see now the recycle bin is empty. So I can go back to File Explorer, and then the files that I had deleted are back in the student files folder that is on the T drive. And also when you've deleted things on the things and they are contained in the recycle bin, that means that they still occupying the space on your computer. So just remember, if you really don't want them on your computer and you don't have any desire of restoring them later, you will then have to go and remember to empty your recycle bin. And then you can have some free space to save other files and folders. All right, okay. We have the control key on the keyboard. It's short for CTRL. It's on the left-hand side at the bottom. So what you can do by it is to either select multiple files. You can also use it for short key methods. All right. So you will notice that every time when I do a right click, okay, let's right click this, and then there's a copy. There's a bracket that says CTRL plus C. You can learn this and know them by heart. They just make life easy. So instead of me now using a ribbon or making use of a right click, I can just use Control and the letter C on the keyboard to perform the copy function. Let's do that with that South African tools. I can select it. On my keyboard, I'm going to press two keys, CTRL and the letter C, and that is copied. And now I can go and save it on the T drive there by making use of CTRL and the letter V to paste. Instead of now coming here and pasting, I'm going to make use of Control V, and there is South Africa. So these are the things that just makes life easy because they are quick to perform. So you can learn them for yourself. The control also allows us to select files, multiple files instead of one at the same time. Let's say now on the student files, I was required to copy the IECOTET Excel 4 as well as that file at the end there. I can select the first one, press Control on the keyboard and hold on it. You hold, you don't let go, and then I will click on the second file. Then I can let go of the Control key. You will see that both files are selected, the Word newsletter as well as the IECOTET _Excel. So I can go to any of them. Whatever I do on the other will happen to the other as well. I will right click and then delete them. And then they are no longer there. But remember, if that was a mistake, I will find them in the recycle bin. So let's say I just want everything to be restored back to where I maybe mistakenly deleted it. On the keyboard, I can just press Control A. Control plus A short for all. Then it will select all of the files that are there. And then I can right click on anywhere and just say restore or use restore all items on the ribbon there. And they will be back on the student files. All right. So let's learn how to zip and extract files and folders. Okay. So compressed files, these are files used to reduce size so as not to take up a lot of space. They are helpful, especially if you want to send these things via WhatsApp maybe or an email. Rather than just attaching them one by one, you can put them all in one folder. Or let's say that the Marietta file is large in size and I'm unable to send it somewhere, or the space in the computer is kind of taken up. Once I compress or zip the Marietta folder, then it's going to be reduced in size. Okay, you will see that the size currently is 12.9 kilobytes. If you click on it, the size is 12.9 kilobytes. How do I zip or compress this? We can do it from a right click. You will say right click, and the option to zip or compress this is the compress to zip file. Okay, and there we have it. We have a folder or a zipped file now named Marietta. You can change the name if you want to, or you can leave it as it is. Okay, so if we check the properties of this file, it's no longer 12.9 kilobytes, it's now 9.74 kilobytes. So it's reduced its file, but the file is still there. You will see that the original, where's Marietta? Let me just look for it. Okay, oh, there's the original. The original was 12.9 and now the compressed one is 9.74. Do notice though, if I was to decide to go and open that file and work on it, I won't be able to save changes. So you need to be mindful of that so that you don't find yourself spending hours on a work that is compressed inside a certain file. So because it's compressed and then it's in a reduced file size, you will not be able to save the changes that you made in it. You will, in order to work on it, so let's say maybe you compressed this work and you saved it on a memory stick, or you sent it to someone via an email or WhatsApp. In order to make use of the work that is inside that zipped folder, you will have to unzip it. Okay, we call that to extract. To extract means to decompress compressed files. Okay, how do we go about extracting? Let's extract the demo folder. So that means I want to extract the file that's inside the demo so that I will be able to make changes of the files and be able to save them. I'm going to right click. On the right click, the option will be to extract all. Extract all. Yes, we still want to save it on student files, and then we will say extract. Okay. Let me close it, and there is the extracted folder. Okay, and then now if I want to make changes of the file that is inside of it, I will be able to save them. What if it was a movie that is inside a zipped file? Will I be able to watch that movie? No. So if that happens, just then remember that you need to go and unzip your folder so that you are able to make use of the contents that are inside the zipped file. Okay. So the zip and unzip is the process of compressing and extracting. Just remember, zip, you also compress, and then when you unzip, you decompress or you extract. Okay. So when you're done with everything on a computer, A good practice of shutting down your computer is not through the plug on the wall or by just using the power button that is on your computer. So a computer that is shut down the incorrect way will not have a long lifespan. So if your computer was meant to be in a good condition for 10 years, if you shut it down the wrong way, then it might just last 3 years, and after 3 years, it starts giving you problems. So when you shut it down the correct way, you give it time to kind of close everything one by one, even those that you forgot to close, and then also to shut down the fan that is inside your system unit. And then ultimately it will shut down. It will even warn you that but you were busy installing something and it's not done. Do you want me to continue shutting this down? But that means that operation will then also stop. Or do you want to go and finish that first before we shut down? Okay, where do we shut down properly, the correct way? From the start button. On the start button, you'll see that there's a power button there. So that power button you'll also see on the computer itself. So just remember, it's not advisable to do it on the computer itself unless if your computer is frozen and you really just want to force stop it so that it can kind of reset and start all over. So if it's not giving you problems and you do not have to force stop it either via a plug or a power button that you see on the computer, then you're going to make use of that power there. So on that power, we have restart, shut down, or sleep. Restart normally again is to reset the computer, not reset really, just to waken it up, especially if it's giving you problems. It could be that it needs to update softwares, or it's been open far too long, it needs to rest. Just restarting it, it will shut it down and switch it on for you quite immediately, and you can continue with what you are doing. When you put it to sleep, it just will put a blank screen. So this will help you if you want to maybe take a lunch break or go to the loo, but you do not want a person that will be passing your computer to see what you're working on. When you put it to sleep, it just then doesn't shut it down, it does not restart it. It just puts a blank screen, either with an image or just blank. And then you can go wherever you go. So when you come back, you hit just the mouse or any key on the keyboard, and then the blank screen disappears. To shut it down, that's when you just want it off. And then you can shut it down and then leave. So this would be the advisable way of shutting down your computer. You'll only use the plug on the wall or the start button if everything is frozen, it's giving you problems, and you just want to force restart it or force stop it. All right. And that is it for the lesson of Windows 11